So we're switched off. Am I being silly? Where is the coil? What on earth? Is that the coil? Look at this, guys. That's ridiculous. Is that the coil? This guy screwed me big time. Well, not really. It was only 250 quid. What is that? Where's the spark plug? I'm so confused. Should there be a spark plug in there? And is that the coil lead? I'm gonna have to search that. Wow. This guy told me this bike was running and riding and he just lost the keys. I mean, I still only paid $250 for it, so it's not a huge issue. The problem is we could buy another coil now and find that someone's bodged something else. Right, where do I go from here? Seriously, guys, I think I need to take all this kind of front panel off, and we need to figure out that. I assume that is the coil, although it doesn't look like the coil, so I have no idea. I'll know once I trace it back, and I assume there should be a spark plug in there, and maybe there's not. I don't know, I can't see. I'm going to have to strip it down a little bit more, and then we'll have to order a spark plug or something. Alright, let me get working away at this bike. I wanted to hit a bike today, that would have been nice. Maybe we'll throw the belt on this thing and kick it over. So guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I am a little wound up. If the guy had said to me, look, this bike's had some work, there's some earths missing, there's a, a coil broken or missing, or I would have been more inclined. I would have thought twice about it, although I probably would have taken it on anyway. You see, I'm not, I haven't got a huge issue with that. So that's your coil lead. I doubt there's a plug in there. Oh, we can see, hang on a minute. Okay, there is a plug in there, guys. All this plastic's off to the side, look at that. That's going to be causing an issue. So there is a plug in there, but obviously that isn't ideal, is it? So let's see if I can. I'll have enough to put a new one on, I think, guys. And then we'll see what's going on, if this bike does fire up at all, or if my concern, I might be able to nip these up properly now as well. My concern is that there's valve issues because that cover was loose. Someone's adjusted the valves probably incorrectly. If that's the case at this stage with the bike this stripped, it's not a big issue really, is it? We just reset the valves, as long as there's no major difficulties, as long as no one's done a real bodge job in there and so on. But for now I am going to nip up the gasket just while I'm here so I don't forget. Put a new, I hope this is a screw off. It should be a screw off one. In fact, look, I can do that now. And then I'll throw a new cap on. I'll definitely have a spare cap. Alright, so let's see if we can get some spark going. We've got oil around the engine now, that's good. And I'm still slightly under the impression that it may not work because of the valves, but we'll soon find out. Okay guys, so you can see I Frankensteined a spark together, and the coil's down there. You'd be absolutely nuts at this stage not to throw on the battery and test this, because this bike could be a runner rider. I have absolutely fully nipped up the bolts now because I could get to them, so that's great. Yeah, I am hesitant because of that case being loose. Why on earth would that case be loose if no one's messed with the valves? Also, why did someone mess with the valves to start with if this was all okay and normal? You see, no one would go straight to valves without knowing that there was a spark, so it probably still won't fire. But I'm going to chuck the battery on and we'll do what we do, and we'll kick it over and we'll see if anything happens. The engine sounds much better now it has some oil in it, so If the spark is just a spark, then there's no reason why it wouldn't fire up. This is interesting, guys. The power wire there, I need to clip that up. I'm hoping, I've probably just pulled that loose. That would have been running or it wouldn't have switched on. Okay guys, here's our setup. We have something that sends spark from the coil to the engine. We have the engine, we have no oil leakage, the oil is topped up, it's top quality oil. The battery's topped up, there's a key on there, it's not ready yet but it's on there. Nothing else should stop this bike from firing unless the valves have been adjusted incorrectly, and it strongly looks like they are. Let's see, sometimes I get lucky. So we'd be nuts now not to check that it's actually sparking, guys. Let's pull the spark plug, let's check that it's actually sparking. Okay guys, spark test. Ignition on. Quite clear we have spark there. Okay, so I think chuck it all back in and try and get it to fire up at the moment. Let's assume that the valves are okay. Let's kind of assume they are okay. They're probably not. Let's try and fire it up just in case it just needs a bit of coaching, and we'll see where we go from there. The fact that this spark plug works doesn't necessarily mean the spark plug in there works. We could pop that out and test that, but it's highly unlikely that it doesn't work. So I'm going to try a little bit more. I might even try a bit of spray in to the intake. Let's see. Okay guys, the lesser of two evils is the carb, but I have cleaned out that carb. It's still got its bottom off, look. But it doesn't look wrong to me. Sometimes the choke can cause an issue, so I'm going to just swap the carb for a minute, because that carb did work and run. It just, I think it had a flat spot, if I'm right. That was in the Sinis a few weeks back. I'm sure it had a flat spot, but it did actually start. So I'm going to chuck that on, just put the fuel through it, not hook anything up, and we're just going to see if it starts and idles. Then we know that the valves are okay and we need a new carb. So that's the next step. It will take me 2 minutes to switch them over. Different carb on. Choke is kind of hooked up there quite roughly with wires. I have sucked some fuel through, although to be fair it came straight back out the bottom. I'm wondering if I left that carb without its main jet. Ooh, I can't remember. Remember though, it did idle. Okay, so yeah, it will still idle. Right, let's give that a shot. High hopes guys, but you never know. New carb's very easy to replace, it costs like 20 quid. burn it. As you can see, 2 carbs, so the original carb should be fine, I'm sure. It is sparking. I'm aware that that's spilling everywhere, guys. I'm going to stop that now. Well, that'll stop itself anyway. I'm aware that it is sparking, but I haven't checked its spark plug. That is my next step, guys. I'm going to check its spark plug, just in case. You never know. Someone might have missed it in the same way I might be missing it right now. Let's pop that out and see if that itself is sparking. You know, it will be. It's highly, highly unlikely for a spark plug to go. Okay guys, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on valves for a second, but the basics are, you find your top dead center mark, which we have here, T, and we line it up with the mark. So the T is here, guys. I don't know if you can actually see that, but that says T, and I'm lining it up to this mark here. Now my slight concern is that it could be this one up here. We could have to line it up to there. But I believe it is this mark here, and I believe it is at top dead center. And then you'd look at the valves here, and they should be kind of loose. So that one's rock solid, and that one's rock solid. So either I've made a mistake or they have. I'm going to go full 180 in case there is a compression stroke. First is a non-compression stroke. So go all the way around, we find that T again, the T is there, line the T up, lovely, we are back. Now, to know that the actual timing is all in place, the bolts here, left and right, should line up with the casing, which they are. So you see that there and there, they line up, and that's at the top. So I think the timing is correct. That valve is loose now, and that valve is loose now. Them valves appear to be set as well, guys, so they seem to be at a nice setting. I think them valves are set and okay as well. Interesting. I mean, this could be slightly... I'm going to check them anyway. I'm going to find the settings and check them just in case, but they look okay to me. They don't look like an issue at all. That kind of leaves me stumbled, really, because what's left, the actual piston, what's left is the actual piston itself being an issue, which does happen. I have taken these apart before, guys, and the pistons are broke, or the rings have snapped, or something like that. That does happen. It happens more regularly than it should. To get to that, you just take all these 4 off, you take all of this off, like I've done on other bikes, and then you slide this off and you'll see the piston down there. I'm in 2 minds as to whether there appears to be compression, so I'm going to check these gaps just in case. I'm going to double check what they should be online, and then adjust them. I'm going to double check all of this, guys. It's the top dead center that bothers me the most down here. So I can see the T is there, and we are lined up with that line there, but I feel like in the past it's been the top corner line, and if that's the case, then someone has set it all up wrong. Right, let me get googling. So guys, let's clarify where we're at. For you it's a few minutes, for me it's hours. The timing's right, the timing's correct, there's no issues there. The valves are adjusted correctly, I haven't touched them, there's no need, they are spot on. I do think I've lined up properly, I do think I have lined up properly. The exhaust seems fine and normal, there's no issues there, there's no mad leaks. Carb seems okay and normal, and I've given it a bit of a clean. Spark is sparking and jumping, so there is spark there. My kind of very slight issue is that the fuel is old. I think I should try somehow feeding in fuel from my container next. I'll go and get the battery off charge. I'm going to knit this all back up. It's going to be really annoying actually, because I'm going to have to undo it again, because I'm going to have to check the piston, aren't I, at some point? Or chuck the congestion tester on it. The congestion? Chuck the compression tester on it, see what's happening. I don't even know what the compression should be on these, but you'll get an idea of if it's working or not. So, where are we? Button it back up. We have strong spark. Just put it all back together and let's see what's going on. So everyone, the battery is only on charge half an hour. My last ditch effort is to run fresh fuel through, which is what I'm doing now, in case it's contaminated. Because for now everything looks normal. So, right, let me run this through. I'll get the camera on just in case. It's not going to start. It's definitely got piston issue, I believe. I might even break the engine down today just for convenience before I might work on that tomorrow. But let me just check. Fresh fuel might just be the key here, so everything else is working. Valves are adjusted. It was kind of, it did make me wonder what was going on there, guys. Why was that loose and off and there was no spark plug? Someone's checked this bike over fully and never got it running. And what is that? It's got to be piston ring, I'm sure. Let me set you up. I'll put the fuel through. We'll kick it over a bit and we'll see. You never know. You never know. Fingers crossed. Fuel on. Ignition on. Everything else works. We've got spark. Of course we're still pumping out petrol. Right. The reason I continued for quite long there, guys, was to get the older fuel out, because it might still be in the carb, and get the new fuel through, because that didn't really drop. Didn't appear to drop much, so maybe I'll drain it if I can get to the drain bolt. Now, guys, in my head, I'm waiting for Daniel to write, do the bloody compression test. Now, yeah, I could do the test. The battery's too dead though, if I'm being honest, and there's nothing else in there where the battery's strong at the moment. So, I mean, we've tried 2 carbs, we've got spark, we've got good strong spark, so the CDI is working, the ignition's working, everything else is there, and the compression doesn't sound right. I'm dead set that there is a piston ring issue here. Either they'll be seized closed and they need loosening. That has happened before. It's quite rare for them not to loosen themselves when oil's gone through, or they would have snapped and there'll be snapped pieces of piston in there and you have to take the rings off and put new rings on. I'm going to start breaking down this engine, seeing if it can be done like this in the bike, and if I'm wrong, I mean, I've been wrong so far with every other test on this bike, so I can be wrong, but I'm not expecting to be wrong. So let's start breaking it down. Let's try and get to the piston, the main cylinder. Let's see if by miracle there is an obvious piston issue there. Okay, so back down to the valves, but this time we're taking the valves off. So guys, normally you take the valves off. They're not normally part of the head. But I don't know what's holding this on at the moment, unless it's just... It may be the intake manifold, that's this, and the exhaust, which I've taken off. So I'm going to have to take them off and see if we can wriggle it all loose. Just have a good look around, make sure nothing else is connected. The spark plug lead is off now, I believe. Come on, fall off. Yeah, and the whole head at some point should just kind of pry off. But let's move the intake manifold first, get rid of that, and then I think the whole lot should just kind of pop off. I've taken the actual sprocket off now, so that's good. Right. Okay guys, we're very close to being in. For anyone interested, there are 2 screws hidden down here that you need to get out before the whole top comes off. Keep the chain tensioned with something, that's what I've got here. And then I have to remove the exhaust studs, the intake studs, to be able to get it out, because you see it won't slide past them, which is annoying, but that's what has to be done. So you put 2 bolts on, you tighten them together, and then you undo the bottom one, and that will extract this whole stud. So that's what I'm going to be doing now, and then the whole head should slide off. When it does slide off, just feed this through, keep it taut, and then we'll have a look and see what's going on with the actual piston. There's a big chance on this weird bike that the actual piston and cylinder looks fine, and I'm just flummoxed as to what's going on, but we'll see. So guys, heads off, we're down to the piston. It didn't take too long. I would say that there's an issue in there. You see that kind of top chunk there? Whatever's going on there is an issue. It's had something's going on there. In fact, it looks tiny compared to the cylinder. The rings obviously aren't compressing. You can see basically through the gap at the top, guys. See how massive that is? So big issue there. See, I've still got the chain on tension just so we don't lose it. I don't want to twist it though. Why has it gone twisted? Alright, let me fix that. But so the next step is slide this head off and see what the rings are doing. But there is a huge gap up there. I don't know if you can see it. If I shined the light through, you'd see it. In fact, the piston itself, look guys. I mean, that's ridiculous. So there would have been no compression in there. So Daniel, for preempting your comment, compression test wouldn't have done anything. Although I should have done it. If I had enough battery, I would have. Definitely got a piston issue here, guys. Easy fix. New piston, new rings, probably new cylinder. No point messing with this one. Do we go 150 kit now, guys? Interesting. Don't know. Let me pop this off and we'll have another little look at the rings. Just check what they're doing, and we've probably kind of solved our main issue here, which is great. Guys, this is shocking. Look at this thing. This is a bog standard piston. It's missing half of it. See, it should be like the other side. Under there, it should have all this, and it's not. That is bad news, obviously. What's worse news is the metal is within the engine somewhere. It's quite fragile metal. I will definitely drain this oil fully and hope the majority comes out. The little bits I'm not worried about, it's fine. It will just crunch up. It won't damage anything. But obviously we have to do the best job we can, and the aim will be to to get out as much as possible. But here is your issue. There's half a piston missing. The top's all squashed and squished. My guess is someone did adjust the valves wrong at some point and the valve's connected. I will check. In fact, yeah, look, this is all dinged up. You see all this up here, guys? It will probably need a new cylinder head. I mean, this is the combustion chamber. This is where the combustion works. Them dings aren't ideal. Not hugely an issue either, but not ideal. I may just smooth them down, or I'll see how much a cylinder head set costs. Again, it might be a 150 head. But that's what's happened. Someone's messed with the valves at some point, and the piston has slammed against it and smashed the piston completely. For now, I need to get this off. That will be like the next kind of tough part. They can bend in there, they can be stuck. Nat has a removal tool if needed. I'll borrow that. But I'd like to try and just get it out ready for now. The rest is fairly straightforward, guys. I'm not hugely worried about what happens next. That goes in like that at the bottom somehow. And yeah, alright, let me get this piston off. I'll order a new one. Let me check the cylinder. Where's that? What did I do with the actual cylinder? Here it is. It looks okay. It may be that I get a new one anyway because it might come in a kit, but this would be okay just to put a piston and new rings on. And then we'll have a compression back, and then we'll definitely have a running bike. And not only will it be a running bike, it will be a rebuilt running bike. So that's all good. Right, where do I go now? Let me get this piston off, ready for next week, and then I'll order a new piston. All good to go. Chuck it all back together next week. Should take me about 4 days. Take me an hour or two, and then as long as we've got a good healthy running bike, we're doing well. I'm not going to mess with the panels. I'll definitely change the ignition. Obviously I've got the new one, it's sitting right there. Nothing else is going to matter too much. I am shocked at that piston, and also relieved actually, guys. I could have popped that off and it could have been perfect. But when you've ruled out everything else, it has spark, it has compression, it has fuel, we tried a new carb. You know, we checked for spark on its own spark plug. Then it has to be compression, it has to be what's left, and compression comes from that piston. So, alright, cool, let me get that one off, and then if I can get that one out, then we're halfway towards the next job. This is where I'd love someone to have a Chinese parts store in London. I mean, it wouldn't be open now probably, although Halfords and stuff are, aren't they? So that you can go and buy this stuff. Jake Corb has talked about it over the years, but never made it happen. It's obviously quite expensive. But it would have been so nice to have run to the shop and got the right piston for this today, wouldn't it? And work on it tomorrow. But this is probably it for now. I'll show you if I can get that pin out. I hope I can. And then I'm going to push this away, put it under a cover, and we'll come back to it next week. I'll chuck the belt on that. I really want to hear a bike today, guys. I'm not asking too much. Alright, guys, I got it up. Nat had trouble getting it up last time. He had to buy a special tool. But I got it up all on my own. Look how bad this piston is, guys. I mean, there would have been no compression at all in there. None. Which is kind of good news. The new piston's going to look like this. It's good news because we found the problem, and we could have easily gone down to the cylinder and not found the problem, but we have. So I'm going to get online and ordering this stuff. This bike should be pieced back together next week, as long as I can do the opposite to today and put it all back together. It goes to show you guys, the nicest people in the world. The guy was very nice I bought this from, but his words were, I drove this bike, it ran well, I would just checked my pockets one day and I'd lost the keys. That's crap, absolute crap. And I probably still would have bought this bike, if we're being honest. It cost 250 quid. I love these bikes, the shapes are just amazing. I would have happily put a new piston in this bike. I would have happily rebuilt it. I would have happily put a new spark plug and coil, if the person had just said that's what was needed. So you have to be very careful with these buys, guys. it's really important, of course. Right, where do we go from here? Nowhere really. I'm gonna get some batteries out. The old ZL 600 back there. I'm gonna get the start taking the tank off maybe. That I'm gonna tuck that over and chuck it under the cover because that's sitting now for a week. Obviously, I'll take off the new ignition and the keys because someone would have that. In fact, I should just plug and play all that while I'm free. Really, the next part of this project should be me doing all that part. Maybe I'm gonna do that instead of waiting until next week. Then we've got an ignition switch, you see, guys, haven't we? And I'm quite optimistic that a new piston and rings will solve the issue here, so that will be fine. New piston will need to be running, but I'll run it with some. I'll two-stroke it before I pull it in, so that it's got a chance to live properly. And we've got that great oil in there, guys. I am going to drop it, but I'll probably be straining it and putting it back in. I'm not wasting that oil. It'd be nuts to waste that oil, but I will strain it just in case there's bits in there. It would make sense doing that. Alright, so I'm going to mess around with the front, try and get the ignition switch stuff on, and then I guess we'll be wrapping up for today quite early, funny enough. It's only like 2 o'clock, but I guess we lose the light at 3. Thanks for watching, guys, as always. Sorry we didn't get as much done, but we'll get a nice video tomorrow doing the, oh, look how dirty my hands are. Doing the belt on that, if of course it is the belt that's gone. I expect to open up the rear case and find a shredded belt in there, or no belt at all, as it's fallen out. And next week I expect to hear a running Diablo. These are beautiful mopeds, guys. They're probably the best looking moped out there, in my opinion. They're slicey, they're sporty, they're great looking bikes. I'm going to take that stupid bar off at the back, but the new owner can have it if they want to put a box on. But you watch how nice this bike will be next week. Tomorrow I'm going to try and get this to some power. We're going to try and peel off them stickers. They're terrible, but I think heating them up will help the glue. So I'll heat them up, we'll peel them off, and then I'll use some cutting compound on the paint, get it nice and fresh, and we may have a working moped tomorrow. I may pop off the exhaust at some point and chuck it on there and see if that runs. But for now, let's get a couple of bits out the way, I guess. Let's get this as a runner and ready, and then that as a same thing, runner and ready. Considering I was meant to chuck an ignition on that today and have it advertised for sale, we've done so much. All that diagnosis, sparks, compression, carbs, fuel-related problems, air-related problems. And obviously someone else did all that work as well, guys, including messing with the timing and the valves. How they didn't come to the conclusion that the piston had snapped is ridiculous. That was the only thing left. Alright, guys, so I looked at the barrel from this side and it looks fine. I also had a look from this side. Now look at what we're looking at. See that scoring? Yeah, it's huge. Also, there's a crack there. I'm not sure I can zoom in, but if you see it, there's a crack. Now, the scoring goes all the way through. That's just not gonna... To be fair, a new piston would work. I don't think you'd get absolute full power. I'm going to keep this just in case, but I think I'm going to be buying a full head for this. So piston, cylinder. Yeah, I need a piston and cylinder kit, really. I could go 150. It might not be worth it. It might just be worth sticking to standard. But this is where we're at this stage. So new cylinder and piston. I won't order one from China. I'm going to want it for next week. I'm going to order one in the UK off eBay. And I think this will just all be back together and up and running next weekend. As always, thanks for watching. That's it for today's video. I'm going to get some of these batteries on charge. And tomorrow we'll focus on this ET250, which is a 4-stroke, by the way. So someone said to me that the ET2s are all 50. They're not. They can't be. This ET2 is... oh, no, hang on. Yeah, it's not a 2-stroke. It's a 4-stroke. So unless I'm wrong now, I need to double-check that. But I hopefully will be hearing this bike tomorrow. The belt's down there. I was meant to chuck it on. I just didn't find the time. But I think that'll be a great job for tomorrow. And then we'll get some heat on these stickers, get all these stickers off. The panel work is actually fine. This stuff we can kind of polish out, and then I'll put some touch-up on it. Everything else should look fine. And this is going to look like quite a nice bike. So tomorrow if I've not been sold 2 lemons in 1 week, then this should be a nice up and running 50cc. I may chuck some hammerite on that rear casing here because it's gone through now to that corroded stage, which is a shame. And that hammerite black is perfect. So I think tomorrow's project, this one, get it up and running. If it runs well, I'm going to chuck the seat from the other one on this because it looks nicer. I'll chuck these panels from the other one on here so it all kind of ties in. To get rid of this, which I did myself, putting it into the fan. And this will be our project for tomorrow. Please, well, I'm getting so many subs at the moment, actually. It's scary. But do keep subbing, do keep subscribing to me, and do, is it what? Sultan's in the background, guys. Is the fame getting to me? No, I don't feel like that, but answering people does take a lot of time. The editing takes ages. And then chatting to people, I enjoy it. I do enjoy it, though, I've got to admit. Yeah, guys, so thanks for that. And then I think, you know, I was saying to Sultan that the other little 50 is probably a parts bike. But the scary thing is it will run. I'm sure if I put this exhaust on that, it will run. So maybe tomorrow we'll try that just as an experiment, just out of curiosity.